Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. It is likely you woke up this morning to the sounds of chaos happening in Israel, where the U.S. Embassy has opened and protesters hit the street. Over 40,000 protesters hit the area there. The Palestinians have protesting the opening of the U.S. Embassy, and as a result, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, have come in and dropped tear gas on the rioters and protesters. They're killing 50 some odd people and injuring about 1,700 people. So that is the news you're hearing on the mainstream media, who is painting Israel as the worst people in the entire world. Well, I'm going to give you the real story. But real quick, I want to say, if you live in Idaho, get out and vote tomorrow for Michael Schneider for Congress. I stand with Michael Schneider. He faces the corruption on a daily basis, and we need to get congressmen in there as soon as possible. So get out and vote for Michael Schneider if you're in Idaho, please. That's tomorrow, Tuesday, May 15th. All right, moving on to the report. Let's go first to the moving of the U.S. Embassy, and then I want to share my kind of breakdown of it. But the Vox.com goes on to state that the U.S. Embassy in Israel moves to Jerusalem. The U.S. officially recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel on May 14th when a new U.S. embassy opened there. It will be housed temporarily in the former consulate building in the Jerusalem neighborhood, while officials look for the permanent location. Now, we know Ivanka Trump, her husband Jared Kushner, the Treasury Secretary Stephen Munich, and several members of Congress attended the ceremony. Trump, however, did not, but he spoke to the group via a video. Now, as I predicted, with the opening of this U.S. embassy, all hell, blood, chaos would break loose. And this is exactly what we've seen. Again, I'm going to just repeat, 40,000 protesters came to protest, Palestinian protesters. Israel responded with, because there was some protesters being violent, throwing fires and everything else like they normally goes on in a riot. And anyhow, they launched tear gas and other things there, killing and injuring 50 some odd people and injuring 1,700-ish persons, at least as the making of this video. We also know that there's been tension between Israel and Iran, bombs exchanged with also Israel and Syria. We know that Israel and the United States are kind of joining together against Syria. They're against supposedly against ISIS or Assad there, but there's lots of things on the table right now. I don't want to get too much into that conflict. I want to focus on the embassy. But speaking of Syria, just taking a biblical stance there, we know that in the Bible, it actually says Damascus will be a ruinous heap. Well, that's exactly what we see happening. It also says that Jerusalem will be a stumbling block of the world. Guess what? We also see that happening. All right, so what are my thoughts on this? And there are a lot of things, but first I want to preface it with this, is there's a motive. There's a reason they're doing what they're doing right now. The Israeli government has a motive. The Palestinians has a motive. The Americans, the United States has a motive. And I'm going to share that motive in a moment. Because I think it's very important. So you're going to want to listen through the end of this video, and I'm going to try to make it as clear and crisp as I can. All right, let me just preface this with saying, okay, as a Christian, as an onlooker, and not just my Christian views, I have to say, I don't agree with everything that Israel does. I don't agree with everything Trump does. Same kind of thing. I don't agree with everything Assad does, or it doesn't matter who it is. There are things I don't like and things that I agree with. In this case of what's happening with Israel, I don't like what's happening there with, the tear gas. But let me share some facts with you. If the Palestinians were to attempt to climb over the fence in Egypt, guess what would happen? They would be shot dead. If the Israelis or Palestinians were attempted to climb over the fence in Jordan, they would be shot dead. If they were to do that in Saudi Arabia, they would be shot dead. But if they do it in Israel, they're shot with tear gas. Am I defending Israel? No, I'm not. I am sharing facts. And you can't shoot the messenger based off facts alone. And I'm trying to give this as best as I can to do that. Now, with that in mind, the other thing is, let's go with the actual democracy or the political landscape of Israel versus the political landscape of, let's say, predominantly Muslim countries. In Israel, if I want to be a Christian or a Catholic or a Jew or whatever religion I want to be, or a gay or a lesbian, whatever you want to be, you're not persecuted. Your head isn't cut off from your body. You can be what you want to be and be what religion and serve the God that you want to serve without persecution, without the fear of I can't hold my Bible in my hand. Without that fear, I can be who I want. And I stand, for one, on the ground of freedom. So in the banner of that, I stand with Israel on that because they allow freedom of religion. Now, another fact that I'm going to share, in the predominantly 55 Muslim countries that are predominantly Muslim religion, all 55 persecute, slaughter, kill Christians. Also other religions, not just Christians. But Christians are, just because I am a Christian, I do focus on that as well, but they murder, rape, behead Christians in 55 predominantly Muslim countries. That says a lot about the leaders, about the democracy. Not only that, but Sharia law really puts women in bondage. You have to dress a certain way. If you do something, you're stoned. They even stone homosexuals for being homosexual. So there's a lot of bad things that come with that. Just sharing facts alone. We have to stick with the facts, and that is part of the facts. This is why I say I don't agree with everything in Israel, but I do stand on the precipice of freedom. And right now, Israel is standing more on that precipice. All right, so with that, let's also get into the mainstream media. The mainstream media has an agenda. Not only the media here in America, but multiple medias abroad. The media here in America is the leftist, progressive, communist media. They're not even a real media. They're propaganda. They feed you the line that they want, okay? Anytime, this is another fact, anytime Israel does anything wrong, they broadcast it on mainstream and push it everywhere. I don't agree with the drones and all that stuff, that the drones and the tear gas, they've got both there in Israel right now. I don't agree with it. At the same time, the mainstream media is putting them in a very, pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. If you're going to be media, then you need to push both sides, because the mainstream media will push Israel, but they refuse to talk about radical Islam. Why? Some of the biggest terrorists on earth are killing Christians. The Falun Gong religion is severely persecuted abroad, but they won't bring up that. Why do you only talk about a one-sided thing? Let's be fair and honest. That's all I'm asking. So when we have multiple bombings right now happening in the Middle East, all across the Middle East, in Central Asia, we have bombings and killings of Christians. You refuse to bring it up, mainstream media, but you're going to sit there and parade on one thing but not the other. Be fair and balanced. This is just another fact that I'm sharing. Everybody knows, because you can't even use the word radical Islam. You can't even use the word extremism and as Islamic extremism, because you're persecuted, you're put down. They won't label it. Why? Because there's an agenda. The agenda of the media is to accomplish the agenda of the globalists. The globalists are ruling. The globalists are the ones pulling the string. What is that agenda? New World Order. And that is because right now, the leftist progressive New World Order agenda is in bed with Islam, because the enemy of the enemy is my friend, and they're working together to accomplish a goal. What is that goal? Is a global governance. This is something Islam also wants. They want to bring in their Messiah, which we know in the biblical sense that would be the Antichrist. And Antichrist is not going to be a good person. So we have the media pushing the Islamic radical leftist agenda. This is why you hear so much about one topic over the other. All I ask is share the evils of Israel and share the evils of radical Islam. Let's be fair and balanced about it. And I'm just saying that because there always is an agenda at play. And the other thing we have to remember is the globalists hate Donald Trump. They actually hate Netanyahu and also Putin. So lots of key things are happening all at once. So I said in the beginning of my video that there was an agenda, that there's always a motive. Well, here's the motive, and I think it's this one. Let me show you this report. This is on the Guardian of all things.com, and it's Israel is 70. We know they just had their 70th anniversary. Is hope for a two-state solution gone? It goes on to say that more than 130 Jewish people sign a letter calling for a secular state with equal rights for all. And it goes on to list some of those names and the people who are involved in that. So what's the entire agenda right now? Well, the moving of the embassy, could it have been an agenda all along to spark chaos? Absolutely. Everybody knew. Netanyahu knew. Trump knew. We knew. The Middle East knew. We haven't even talked on Turkey yet. We'll get into Erdogan's probably going to play something here soon. He threatened to. I'm waiting for that bomb to fall. But everybody knew that when it happened, chaos would pursue. Chaos would commence. Why are we shocked? We knew it would happen. That's number one. Okay, so if you know when you do that, chaos would break out. Why did they want the chaos? We have to ask that second question. Well, we want the chaos, maybe, to sign a two-state agreement. Maybe to finally come up with a solution. Well, we know that in the Bible, I'm just sharing what it says, that they talk about the Antichrist signing a peace deal with Israel. Could something like that come out of this chaos? Sure. If it's the timing that God wants. And I don't know if it will or won't. I don't know if it'll be a 7-year deal or not. We have to wait and see. But chaos breaks out and then bang. We have mainstream media, lying media, talking about a two-state solution. The agenda? Sign an agreement. The agenda? Get the two sides to join. The agenda? Usher in the tribulation spoken of in the Bible. We know that's all the satanic agenda. I believe that's exactly where we might be headed. Could it push out? Sure. Could there be some kind of tangent where that doesn't happen? Absolutely. This is an open door. Whether or not it's taken, only time will tell. But I think it's a door that could do something like that, that could bring some kind of solution to the table. I just find it odd that all this chaos brings out and bang, here we see the two-state up again. Anyhow, I'd love to get your thoughts and concerns and what you think on the whole thing. You kind of know my stance. Hopefully, I'm sure I pissed a lot of people off. And I just got to stand on the facts, and that's where I stand. Anyhow, don't forget to check out my partner at noblegoldinvestments.com. Make sure you have tangible stuff. Don't put all your assets in one area. Convert your 401ks into a Roth IRA. I have done this. I follow what I preach. So make sure you convert your 401ks into something solid. You can back it with gold. You can back it with precious metals. You can back it with Bitcoin. So go to noblegoldinvestments.com. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out. And don't forget to leave your comments. I'd love to read them. What do you think about it? Thanks again.